Do not try anything you are about to see at home.
Well, there's your problem.
In this special series of Mythbusters,
It's almost too exciting.
the Dream Team tackles their dream themes.
It's scientific!
Testing myths about everything from electricity to pressure and gravity.
This one hurt a bit.
Shaking down the science of shockwaves, velocity, and ballistics. With crazy chemistry,
Oh my goodness.
far-out physics,
Fun for the whole family.
and insane explosions.
Is everybody okay?
Life's burning questions answered. On Mythbusters, there's your problem. On this episode,
Time to go diving.
stand well back as the Mythbusters probe the power of pressure.
This has never been done before.
And later, they crush it
Oh!
There you go.
Wow! There you go.
with some voracious vacuum myths.
This is killing me.
It's all about the PSI
It's alive!
as the team dials it up. First up, Adam and Jamie test a myth that ping pong can go fatally wrong. According to this myth, in the right conditions, a delicate ping pong ball can be as lethal as a full metal jacket. But how is that possible when ping pong balls have so little mass? Time to get this myth up to speed.
So if you're thinking an itty-bitty ping pong ball can kill you, what's your plan?
Well, force equals mass times acceleration.
Ah, I see. So what this lacks in mass, you're hoping to make up for in speed. How fast are you thinking of going?
A lot. I'm thinking supersonic.
I love it.
So, could Adam and Jamie impart enough velocity to a ping pong ball to compensate for its lack of mass and turn it lethal? To go supersonic, they need to get one flying at 760 miles per hour. Clearly, muscle power won't do it. Cue brain power.
Perfect.
Adam thinks air pressure might be the way to go.
This is what I call a breech-loading pop gun. Here's the breech. There's the ammo. Seal it up. Pressurize from here. Open it up. Point it in the direction you want to hit with a ping pong ball. Release with this high-pressure valve. And Bob's your uncle.
With the pressure pumped to the max the pop gun can handle,
95 PSI in 3.
let's see how this flies.
140 miles per hour at 100 PSI.
That's about twice the speed of hitting it with a bat. But there's a long way to go. The obvious next step is to turn up the air pressure. But they also have another trick up their sleeve.
Coming along nicely.
A long barrel, like 80 feet long. To explain the physics, a Heinemann walks into a bar and says,
So why the long barrel? Well, as long as the pressure behind the ball is greater than the pressure in front of the ball's going to continue to accelerate.
It's perfect.
so the longer the barrel, the more time to accelerate, the faster the ping pong ball.
There's a target.
Or that's the theory.
Okay, that's 140 PSI. Firing. 3, 2, 1.
I just see a hole at the other end.
Wow.
That is far out.
140 PSI plus long barrel gives an encouraging
453 miles per hour.
That's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
So we got this ball going 453 miles per hour. Wow. That's really fast, but I have to say, I don't think it's lethal. Might break a rib, but it's not going to kill you.
They need more speed, and a spot of research triggers a slight change in direction.
It turns out that physics teachers have been getting incredible acceleration out of ping pong balls. What they've been doing is they've been taking 36-inch long tube of PVC. Then they put packing tape over each end of the tube, and they draw a full vacuum in that tube.
Okay.
Here we go, pulling the vacuum.
The theory is that when the tape is pierced, air rushes in to fill the vacuum,
Just everyone back off a little bit.
propelling the ping pong ball forward at up to 300 miles per hour, even with a short barrel.
Here we go. Whoa!
Popping the sealed vacuum causes a sudden influx of air,
Holy
and the pressure differential sends the ball rocketing.
I didn't expect it to work that well. Well, the vacuum trick's working gangbusters. I actually got 375 miles an hour. That is awesome, and this is where I'm going to concentrate my energy to get the fastest ping pong ball possible. We're ready.
In theory, all they need to do now is apply the vacuum trick to the 80-foot barrel, and the result should be frightening speeds.
This has never been done before. It's scary.
Ping pong bazooka in 3, 2, 1.
But it's an unexpected and disappointing dud.
That's no good.
The high-speed camera shows the problem.
See, air rushes in this tube behind the ping pong ball. There's a vacuum in front of it, but that air sneaks past the ping pong ball, and it looks like it's providing a cushion that's actually causing it to spring back once it reaches the end. So it's not attaining enough speed or momentum to bust out.
But on the bright side, the ball is reaching incredible speeds at 30 feet.
8:29. We're well past Mach 1 here.
So shorten the tube to 30 feet, and this myth is going supersonic, right?
2, 1.
Wrong.
275 miles per hour. We're getting less out of a 30-foot barrel than I was out of a 6-foot barrel.
Even with a shorter barrel, the air cushion is still an issue.
Failure is apparently the only option.
Just as it seems they're about to choke, Adam has a bright idea. Add one to the pop gun.
We found out about this technology of adding a choke, like rocket science.
The choke is a sealed pressure chamber behind the barrel.
Kidding. Vacuumizing.
Pull a vacuum in the barrel,
I really hope this works.
pressurize the
3,
choke to 100
2,
psi,
1.
and stand back.
Oh, oh. Wow, wow.
The blast of pressurized air popped the vacuum and added extra energy to the equation. But just how much?
779 miles per hour. Mama. That's what I'm talking about.
What Adam's talking about is that after all their hard work, they have a ping pong ball faster than the speed of sound. Armed with their supersonic ping pong ball bazooka, they head to Fort Mason, where they set up a 20-foot-long barrel and a supersized choke chamber running at 300 psi.
Here we go. 20-foot barrel, 300 psi. 3, 2, 1, go. That was an ever-loving smack of a bang.
But how fast did the vanishing ping pong ball actually go?
Was going at a speed of 1,100 miles per hour.
That's pretty fast.
That is pretty fast. Now it's time to find out if the 1,100 miles per hour we got out of the end of that barrel is in fact lethal. Lethal balls. That's what we're looking for. For our lethality test, today's human analog will be played by a pork butt. I think we're ready. 300 PSI lethality test with a pork butt in 3, 2, 1, go.
How did our porcine pal fare?
Dude, there's like flesh trauma going down 1.5 inches into here. I'm shocked by how much damage it did.
Now that thing actually penetrated. That's ping pong ball shaped.
That is a shocker.
That would hurt.
But I think we still need to call that this is a non-lethal hit. This is a substantial flesh wound, but it ain't lethal.
It's a close call. At supersonic speed, the ping pong ball struck like a bullet. But lack of mass meant it wasn't quite mortal. Next, it's time to take a deeper dive into pressure with a meaty underwater myth.
Before the days of scuba diving, divers would go down in those old suits with those brass helmets, just like this, right?
Sure.
They would pressurize their suit using a compressor on a boat at the surface.
To counteract the external water pressure.
Exactly.
Well, that sounds like an accident waiting to happen.
And that's what this myth is about.
According to the myth, early deep-sea diving suits had a fatal flaw. A failure in the air supply would cause a drastic decompression inside the suit, and the water pressure at depth would squash the diver into the helmet. They dive into this myth at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, where there's a handy 15-foot deep pool
That is so cool.
that the occupants have kindly agreed to lend them. Tori's made a ballistics gel mini diver for a scale test.
Oh, cool, you painted him red.
Yeah, that way, if something does happen, we'll be able to see if his body does get sucked up into the helmet. All right, time to go diving.
Okay, pressurizing the suit.
A compressor feeds air into mini diver's suit, so the pressure inside it matches the water pressure at the bottom of the pool.
Ready?
What happens when the air supply is cut off?
Compressor failure in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so the pressure on my side has gone to 0 immediately.
Air pressure is quickly squeezing the suit against the gelatin.
Well, that's good, we know.
Now it's actually squishing body into the helmet.
You're kidding me, this is working?
It's squishing up all around his neck.
Even at a depth of only 15 feet, the pressure differential squeezes mini diver like a tube of toothpaste.
Totally worked. It smashed the body into the helmet.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
I think we have a perfect proof of concept here. We could totally move on to the large scale.
But to really test this myth, ballistics gel won't cut it. They need something almost human.
So I give you Meat Man.
Using slabs of pork sewn onto a model human skeleton,
It's alive!
Meat Man slowly takes shape in the hands of the diabolical Dr. Frankenstein.
I present to you my creation, Meat Man. Ooh, almost threw up. That's gross.
Armed with their man-sized meat puppet, the team heads for Santa Cruz Harbor. But before Meat Man can truly call himself a human analog, he needs a final, awful ingredient.
What we need to do is fill him up with some kind of organs, guts, blood, so that way if we do get that squeeze, we'll be able to see it come shooting into the helmet. I have no idea what that is.
With Meat Man organed up, it's time to wrestle him into his old-time diving suit. Jessie Coons is standing in for Carrie, who's cleverly timed her pregnancy to avoid the carnage. And finally suited and booted, it's off to sea for a date with the deep.
If you see any sharks, play dead.
5 miles out to sea, they reach the dive site. Grant has built an air compressor to keep the suit pressurized all the way to its target depth of 300 feet.
As he makes his descent, the pressure pushing in on the suit goes up by 0.445 psi every foot. So in order to compensate for that, I'm gonna have to add air in through this hose and push back out. Now I've calibrated this gauge to the approximate psi that I need versus the depth.
We have a live video feed from an ROV, so we should be able to see everything very easily from sitting right here.
With the bases covered, it's time to dive.
And Meat Man is in the water.
Say hello to Davy Jones.
As the cameras roll, the fleshy frogman drops slowly into the drink to meet his deep-sea fate.
What's your depth, Jesse?
31 feet.
Copy that.
But as they monitor his slow descent, the team is skeptical of a full-body squeeze.
There's a lot of meat down there. I don't think the whole body's gonna come in the helmet.
235 feet, and it's getting really dark. Thank God we got all those lights all over the place.
Okay, that's 300 feet.
Okay, stop the cage.
At 300 feet, there's 135 pounds of water pressure squeezing on every square inch of the diving suit. The only thing protecting Meat Man is the compressed air inside it.
We have Meat Man safely at 300 feet. The suit is holding. Now, we are about to cut his line to see whether or not he gets the squeeze. You guys ready to cut the line and see what happens?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
Grant cuts the line.
Whoa! Look at what's happening to his head! Oh, Meat Man is in the helmet!
That's crazy!
Oh my God, it's filled with blood and flesh!
Yep, Meat Man is mincemeat. When the air pressure was cut, the water pressure slammed him up into his helmet, just like the myth predicted.
Oh, wow! We totally caved the helmet in!
Look at all the guts in there.
His stomach is inside his helmet.
Now, the name of this game is differential pressure. They can withstand a huge amount of pressure when they're equalized. But the second you take away all the pressure on the inside, crush. You can see, this is what's left. That is absolutely confirmed.
What do you got?
Well, it looks like we've got a bunch of fire hoses pointed down, and they're lifting a car off the ground.
That is friggin' perfect for us.
You know, if this is real, and we can actually pull this off, it's gonna be awesome.
Jamie's picked out a fire training facility about 30 miles east of the city in Pleasanton.
This is kind of a dangerous situation that we don't really want to just dive into without preparation. And so we're going to build a scale model before we start dealing with the big boys.
A system comprising pipes and valves will feed water from a fire hydrant to multiple hoses on either side of a model car 1/6 the scale of the real thing. Right on cue, fire engine and crew hit the scene to open the tap on this scale test.
All right. Dude, look at that! Yeah!
And in scale, that's about right. That's like 20 feet off the ground.
These things are pointed every which way, but because they're mostly down, it's really stable. It could not have gone better. We got liftoff, we got stability. This seems really, really possible.
What?
Fired up by the results, the Mythbusters splash out on an old wreck to see if they can shoot it skywards. But Jamie crunches some numbers, and he's not so sure.
This car weighs, according to the sticker, 3,175 pounds. Now, that means that each of those hoses has to put out about 320 pounds of thrust. Personally, I don't think so.
Not one to leave things to chance, Jamie knocks up a rig to rate the pressure from a standard fire hose and heads back to the fire department to test it out before anyone in wardrobe could have a word in his ear.
We're good to go. We got 400 pounds on there. Let's fire it up.
Okay, here we go.
If one hose lifts this weight, then 10 hoses should lift the car. There's movement, but no liftoff.
There we go!
So Jamie decides to narrow the valve and raise the pressure.
Hopefully, putting this reducer on this will make for an increased nozzle reaction. That's what they call it in the industry.
Water is pumped through the truck as Jamie wills the weights to greater heights. But as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for.
Everybody over here. I think we got a little bit more nozzle reaction that time. it was like a rocket. That was exciting. In fact, that was like dangerous.
And terminal as far as any more testing goes. But on the bright side, there's no doubt that one hose can lift over 400 pounds. So they're still in business. Back at base, Adams upscaled his water delivery rig. A quick coat of paint, and it's time to hose this myth down. Or up. All available fire trucks roll up to the test site. But there's only 6 instead of the planned for 10.
I'm a little nervous about it. The math says we should be able to do it but will we?
Now let's see if a full-size, full-weight car really can take flight.
The tension is mounting.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I'm gonna get in position.
Test number 1 starts with the standard hydrant pressure of 80 psi, which Jamie steadily raises 10 psi at a time.
All right, all pumps up 10 psi. All pumps up 10 more psi.
But sadly, this car looks more likely to float than fly.
All pumps down, completely down.
Okay, we're exceeding the amount of water flow for the system.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, what if we remove a couple of the hoses, or just, don't power up with 2 of the hoses?
With a fixed water supply, cutting 2 hoses will raise the pressure in the remaining 8. It's a question of finding the perfect balance. They'll start this test at 100 psi, then lift the pressure bit by bit.
10 more psi.
In test after test,
All pumps 1, 2, 0.
Jamie raises the starting pressure,
All engines 170.
repositions the nozzles, and changes the number of hoses. But try as they might, the jalopy stays firmly on terra firma. So how did they achieve this? Adam's starting to think that there's less to this car than meets the eye.
The problem is we've got an engine. That's why we're not getting any movement.
Well, let's get the engine out.
All right. There's nothing in the video we saw that said that car had an engine. And we got to get liftoff before the end of the day. So we're lightening our load by a few hundred pounds.
Daylight's fading, and this next test is make or break.
This one's going to work. I hope.
Up on 6.
With 6 engines, 6 hoses,
Come on, baby!
Up, up, up.
and no motor, the car finally takes flight.
Up on 3. Up on 3.
The hatchback hovers handsomely at 15 feet high for a full 45 seconds.
Okay, down, down, down. Cut it. Oh, yeah! Nice landing.
It worked. I didn't actually think it was going to happen, but it did. Well, just like the video.
I'd say we've confirmed this one.
Confirmed it is.
Now for 3 myths that test out the science of vacuums.
Man, that makes me nervous. That thing's so friggin' big.
Don't imagine for a minute
Come on, baby.
that the pressure's letting up.
Oh. This is killing me.
First up, Casey Jones has nothing on this myth.
All right, there's a guy. He's tasked with cleaning out one of those tanker cars on a train that holds liquid, and he's using a steam cleaner. So he's steam cleaning the whole thing, and of course, as he's doing that, he's warming it up. And it starts to rain. So he caps off the tanker car and walks away. The cooling rain causes the steam to contract, and as the myth goes, the train car crushes itself.
From a vacuum.
Exactly. Whoops.
To show that this myth isn't completely off the rails, here's Adam with a quick demo. He heats up a metal can, pours in some boiling water, caps it, and removes it from the heat.
This vessel was full of steam and air that was heated to its boiling point. Now that air is rapidly cooling. As it's cooling, they're creating a negative pressure inside the can. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, it's actively moving. Look at that. I'm doing this with my mind. In case you were wondering, this is all telekinesis.
Actually, it's differential pressure, but this can is fairly flimsy, so they're going to step it up to a 55-gallon steel drum.
Structurally, it's much stronger because it's round and it's got these ribs, so it'll present much more of a challenge.
The drill's the same. Pour in water, bring to the boil, seal the drum.
There we go.
And wait while it cools.
How long did it take the little cans to crush?
Those crushed very, very quickly.
You know how a watch pot never boils? Seems like that goes for cooling, too. So let's cut to the chase.
Next time we hold the camera up with magnet.
There you go.
Wow!
You can feel that.
Woo! That was so cool.
They crushed it. Literally. But before they go full scale and wreck a perfectly good, very expensive railroad tank car, there's one more test to do.
Shape and geometry are critical when it comes to pressure vessels. And so we're going to build a scale version of our tank car cylinder and see what difference that makes.
They weld together a row of 55-gallon drums. Then steam clean the model rail tanker as per the myth, heating it to 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right, capping it up.
A pressure gauge will tell them how strong the vacuum is at crush point.
Oh, hey!
A total vacuum measures around 30 inches of mercury.
Okay. 7 minutes in, we're at 11 inches of mercury.
But way before they reach that point,
Whoa! Awesome!
another spectacular implosion.
Oh, that was fantastic!
For these veterans of explosions, this is kind of like seeing snow for the first time.
That is awesome!
The model tank car is mangled metal. Now, can they do the same thing to this? If you're wondering how on earth the Mythbusters managed to score a perfectly good tanker car to have their way with, you're not alone.
Isn't it beautiful? 67 feet long, 10 feet diameter. It holds almost 30,000 gallons of liquid. Unless you think that the shell is thin, it's actually almost half an inch thick.
It's almost 70,000 pounds of cold rolled steel. But could a simple steam cleaning accident cause it to crush like a tin can? Adam rigs it for data monitoring with a vacuum pressure gauge and heat sensor.
We just turned this tank car into an experimental vessel.
It's ready for them to recreate the implosive events of this railroad myth.
This is gonna be cool.
First, they turn on the steam, just like the cleaning crew on that fateful day.
Piping hot at over 300 degrees, its goal is to remove every last trace of residue from the previous cargo.
Then they wait, while the metal casing heats up.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's already rising.
When the temperature hits 200 degrees Fahrenheit, Adam springs into action to batten down the hatches.
Here we go. This is it.
Unfortunately, once the service guys had done their job, they closed every hatch and valve on the tank car, something they should never have done.
I am de-assing the area.
Mission accomplished.
That went smoothly.
Now for the final ingredient of the developing disaster.
All right, fire department, let's make it rain.
Copy, making it rain.
With a hot, sealed tank car, the heavens open.
Oh, perfect.
Rapidly cooling the steel vessel.
5 inches of mercury.
The trapped steam inside condenses.
6.
Negative pressure rises.
It's climbing steadily, that's what we wanted to see.
And a vacuum builds.
13.
Ah.
The pressure differential means that already more than 1.5 million pounds is squeezing on the tank car's steel shell.
Man, that makes me nervous. That thing's so friggin' big.
I know.
The small-scale tank car crushed at 11 inches of mercury.
This is killing me.
Then, 1 hour in, and pulling almost a full vacuum,
Why, they make these things tough, don't they?
Absolutely nothing happens.
Damn!
It's a crushing anticlimax.
Here we go.
But the guys aren't about to let it suck the air out of them.
Technically, what we did to this car to try and make it collapse with a vacuum was flawless. Got the tank really hot. We sealed it up really well. We pulled darn near a perfect vacuum on it, and yet nothing we did to it made it collapse. But you know what? We're not done yet.
Time to switch tracks on this myth. Perhaps the tank car in question imploded because of structural wear and tear. With this theory in mind, the guys decide to stage
A bit of a, shall we say, accident. Dropping 3,200 pounds on a tank car. Something we didn't expect to be doing in this episode. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's ideal.
They've already proved steam cleaning could have pulled a vacuum. So this time they're taking a shortcut with a giant truck that sucks.
All right, Dean, go ahead and start the vacuum.
It'll pull exactly the same negative pressure as in the first test.
10 minutes, 21 inches of mercury.
23 inches. Come on. Come on, you melon farmer. Oh! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Finally.
Oh! 23 inches of mercury. Holy cow!
That, my friends, is an ex-tank car, flattened by nothing but a vacuum.
Man, look at that. That is beautiful.
I've never seen anything quite like that.
35 tons of steel, flattened like a tin can.
Well, this one was a bear. How do you want to call it?
Well, I think the myth as stated, we have to conclude based on the evidence that it's busted. Your average tank car, even under an impressive amount of vacuum pressure, isn't going to implode.
Agreed, but if it's dented or corroded or otherwise compromised, it could happen.
Spectacularly so. Okay, let's get the hell out of here.
Okay.
That first myth went off with a bang, but this next one says you'll never get one of those in space.
Apparently, it is impossible to fire a gun in space.
You mean like in a vacuum?
Exactly. Think we got to test it.
I've always wanted to go to space.
Me too. Guns in space. What could possibly go wrong?
So, will a gun fire in a vacuum? And if not, why not? The theory is, first, the lack of air at atmospheric pressure in space may cause the slug to deform. Second, without oxygen, the primer can't ignite the propellant. With all space flights currently booked out, Jamie and Adam will have to test this myth in a slightly more down-to-earth way.
Yeah, baby!
By building a bulletproof vacuum chamber in the shop.
Nice.
Creating a slice of outer space in San Francisco is a challenge, but with precision and patience,
You go down first.
Okay.
plus lots of glue, they managed to stick it.
It's going to be beautiful.
I hope so. This was nerve-wracking.
We're gonna put a lady in here, and she's gonna turn into a tiger. Wabba!
With a vacuum gauge added, and a remote-controlled handgun in place, they're ready to fire up a control test.
Before we pull the trigger on this gun in the vacuum, we're going to fire the gun in the vacuum chamber without a vacuum to be able to compare the two. In 3, 2, 1.
There it goes. That was a bang.
Well, seemed to work pretty well.
Indeed.
Yep, they've tested the remote firing mechanism, captured it on high speed, and have a slug impact on the backboard for comparison. Time to shoot for the stars.
Gun is hot. Range is hot.
Air is pumped out of the chamber to create a space-like environment.
We're waiting for our vacuum chamber to come up to a full vacuum, and then we're gonna pull the trigger on our revolver. And I am here to tell you that I think it's gonna go bang. I don't think the vacuum's gonna have any effect on the gunpowder's ability to propel a bullet out the barrel of our revolver.
This is it, with the chamber evacuated to a full vacuum.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
And Adam's remote finger on the trigger.
All right, here we go.
Will the gun misfire or indeed not fire, as the myth suggests?
Firing a gun in a vacuum. 3, 2, 1.
There it is.
There it is, successfully shot. That gun fired in a vacuum.
Like what he said, but the high-speed vision is less predictable.
Wow!
Almost unearthly.
I swear, if I just saw this footage, I would totally believe that it was a special effect. It doesn't look real.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We chose a revolver for this test, and you'll notice in the high-speed footage that a fireball is created around the gun when it fires. Now, that's because of the gases coming out of the cartridge to escape. If you look at the vacuum, that fireball is much, much larger. And that is because a gas, when it's exposed to a vacuum, is going to expand more.
But the astronomical observations don't end there.
Now that we know a gun can fire in a vacuum, the question arises, does the bullet behave any differently in the vacuum than in the air? We might posit that the bullet would move slower in the air because the air provides resistance where the vacuum provides none. And in fact, we did find a very minor difference. The bullet in the air traveled 5% slower than its partner in the vacuum. That's not a big result, but it is also borne out in a tiny way by the bullets that we found embedded in the glass. The bullet in the vacuum made a slightly larger pressure ring in the glass than the one in the air. It's a tiny difference, but an interesting one nonetheless.
Having put a slug through this myth, Adam and Jamie have one more space itch they want to scratch.
There is a theory floating out there that a solid fuel rocket won't work in space. But now that we have this big vacuum chamber, we can totally test that out. These bottle rockets are, in fact, solid fuel rockets with a little bit of powder inside. So here is my rocket. Ready? Watch this. This should push the car forward, right? Action, reaction. Ta-da! If that works in the vacuum, then we might have busted another myth in this episode. Rocket firing in a vacuum in
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Hey! It happened so fast I wasn't looking.
It worked.
Solid rockets work in a vacuum.
Let's look at the high speed.
Why not? This is a rocket in a vacuum. Watch it go.
Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
So, the myth that guns cannot be fired within the vacuum of space?
It's totally busted.
Yeah, it's busted.
Mythbusters and vacuums have history. A levitation machine made from a vacuum cleaner. And an intimate connection between Adam's butt and an aircraft vacuum toilet.
Oh my God!
But this next myth is dialing up the suck factor to even greater heights.
Go, go, go!
There is a story that's been on our list for a long time. I've always wanted to test it. The myth is that a standard household vacuum cleaner has enough suction to lift a car.
Well, I'm dubious, but sounds like fun.
Let's dive straight in. Can a household vacuum cleaner lift more than household dirt? How about a 5-pound weight?
Okay, so that's just barely enough to hold on to that 5 pounds.
It is.
Not much, but it's enough to get Jamie thinking.
Now, the surface area on the end of the hose is 1.75 inches. So doing the math, that means that it's pulling about 2.8 pounds per square inch. So how are we going to lift a car that weighs 2,600 pounds? Well, all you need is more square inches. In fact, if we have up to about 1,000 square inches of suction area on the car, we should be able to lift it, in theory.
When Jamie says, in theory, he often means, good luck with that. But to give themselves more square inches of suction area,
This is one of the stranger things we've built.
Adam enlarges the vacuum attachment.
I hope that works.
Jamie modifies a manifold for the vacuum cleaner.
There we go. That ought to do it.
And I've got a 50-pound weight to try and lift.
Hey!
Turns out,
Nice!
Jamie's math and their prototype work.
In theory, I think this should be able to hold more than twice that.
That is awesome!
So awesome, in fact, they're going with that model full scale.
Our plan is to build 40 more suction cups just like the one we just made. We'll position them on the roof, the trunk, and the hood. From each one will come a tube that will join to a kind of mega manifold that will be attached directly to our single vacuum cleaner. Also from each cup will be a piece of threaded steel rod that will link to a support structure we'll hang above it. We'll turn the vacuum on, then we'll lift up the steel structure with the crane, and either the car will lift up or the car will not get off the ground.
So with the rig wrangled, it's off to a test pad. The cups are placed, and the vacuum cleaner is ready to suck.
All right, you ready to turn it on and do this thing for real?
There we go.
All right, let's get them all socked down.
Roof's all good. Trunk's good.
All good. Let's go.
Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Ah! Rats! Rats! Rats!
The problem is the hood. It's buckling slightly
The hood is boning us.
and breaking the seal.
Our solution? Cut that hood out and replace it with a piece of sheet steel.
A flat and strong sheet of metal should give a much better seal.
That ought to do it.
Look, I don't want to get overly confident here, but right away, the replacement of the hood with a flat piece of sheet steel is working magnificently.
So with confidence brimming,
A single vacuum lifting an entire car. Come on, baby. Hey, it's off the ground.
There it comes.
It's gonna work. Come on, yes! Ah! What?
It was an inch
It was an inch
on the front wheel.
on the front wheel before failure. Yes!
if just one suction cup lets go of its grip, there's a total suction failure. So Adam calls time on this rig.
We have proven that this cannot work. We need to implement some other solution to distribute the vacuum's power and lift this car.
It's back to the drawing board.
Now we are going with a method we call the box method. Instead of 40 points of failure, we now have three. Three big, sturdy wooden boxes made out of plywood, sealed with a gasket between them and the car.
It's a straightforward, simple plan, which usually means the best chance of success. So with just plywood and plenty of gasket goo, they're ready for round two.
Looks good.
Lovely.
Back at the launch pad, the new rig is maneuvered into place.
A little more, a little top. Yeah, that's tight.
The crane is engaged,
That's good.
and the vacuum cleaner's dusted off for one more try.
So is this going to work? Well, our three boxes have a total surface area of 4,000 square inches, and we've shown that the vacuum cleaner can lift 2.8 pounds with 1 square inch. Now, that gives us a total theoretical lifting capability of 11,000 pounds. That's over 4 times the weight of our car. But as we showed earlier, it may not all be just about the math.
There speaks centuries of experience. So with high hopes and low expectations, here goes.
Starting the vacuum in 3, 2, 1. It's climbing.
It's climbing?
Yeah.
Yes! Oh, yeah, baby!
The gauges show healthy negative pressure, which spells suction.
Let's do this.
All right, let's take it up 18 inches.
Okay.
Oh,
That was the hood popping. That's good. That's cool. We got pressure.
Commencing countdown.
come on, baby. Hold on to this car.
We have liftoff.
Yes, it's off the ground. This freaking car is off the ground! Oh, man. That is freaking awesome! Oh, dude! We are lifting a car with nothing but a single vacuum. I know, this is freaking me out.
Remember, the crane is lifting the steel cradle.
Holy balls. There you go. That's about how we're feeling here.
But it's the vacuum cleaner on its own
This is every bit as satisfying as I was hoping it would be.
that is sucking the cradle to the car.
That is freaking awesome!
And to prove just that, once the car's as high as it can go, they'll pull the plug on the cleaner.
3, 2, 1.
And with no suction, gravity does its thing.
That was very satisfying.
Oh, that was awesome. Woo! So, if anyone needs to lift a car with a vacuum, don't call us. We've done it once. We don't want to do it again. We actually lifted this thing with nothing but the power of a single vacuum cleaner. Next time someone tells you that Mythbusters sucks, tell them damn straight.